Can you see this recording? Is it happening now?
Yes, sir, it's
Okay,
recording.
okay, good, good. Um, what we were talking about this process. Simply speaking, again, if I summarize, it is always good to learn the logic behind the calculation. The objective of the process costing is to correctly ascertain the value of finished goods of a given process at a time and the value of unfinished product at the time and the value of the unit cost, value of total value and the unit value. So that's it. So therefore, it is always recommended to do the calculation, at least understand how they are calculated and what the logic behind calculations are. Then come to the process account, you would understand much better than a situation where directly you jump into the process account. It looks to be Greek. It will not be that easy, right? Now, if you look at the account, you can see same information is represented here. It's raw material cost is here, conversion cost, total cost has been there. For your reference the purposes, this is the quantity column is the reference point. So this is this much, this is this much, but for the division purpose, since there is normal loss, this much, abnormal loss 80, but as we realize that total cost is ascertained or unit cost is ascertained, dividing working CHSE 175,000 divided by 1,800. So therefore the cost per unit is 97. So 97 is then um, used to split the total 175,000 into two. Output is this much and simple calculation. Then 167,000 is transferred to either finished good. We do not know if this is only a single product or the process that goes to the finished good. Otherwise, this value would be the input value for the next process, process 2. This 167,000 goes here. This 7,000 something is transferred to abnormal loss account. Since there is no scrap value, so this is a loss. That loss has to be treated or accounted accordingly. If it is due to your managerial issue or something related to business management, take it to the P&L account, administrative expense. If it is due to a theft or you can identify someone's fault, recovery it from that person. Say manager has done something stupid, just take that amount deducted from his salary. So this is how it happens. There are in production processes, if employees have not followed the instructions given and if they do some damn things, so there is a likely chance that loss would be recovered by their salary. It's possible. So there is no hard and fast rule that this abnormal loss should be directly charged to P&L. We charge to P&L on the assumption that there is no any other exceptional reason like theft or any other thing or natural damage. Right. So look at the normal loss account. No values. In terms of no values, it is already embedded either in abnormal loss or the uh, um, finished goods. Then ask a question: if scrapped items, lost items can be sold or has a scrap value, what would be the situation? Number one, you have to understand this. Here, since the entire amount of normal loss is absorbed into expected units, if there is any value arising from the normal loss, that should be deducted from the total cost. Because very logical. If The normal loss is going to be absorbed among 1,800. Anything is arising as a revenue or the benefit from the normal loss, that should be deducted. That's very legit. Assume that the scrap value of this normal loss is 5,000. Therefore, your total cost to be absorbed among these units, 1,800 units, is not 175,000 but 170,000 after deducting that 5,000 from this value. Now we'll move on to this activity number 5.3. Okay, the question asks us why normal value is 0, because there is no scrap value. If there was scrap value, we could have recorded, but it should be not recorded here. It should be deducted from this total cost. So whenever you receive cash, debit cash, you sell them at a price and deduct from the total cost. This is how here you put a value for the normal loss. If there is, assume that these 200 units were sold for a price of 5,000. So you put 5,000 here. Then what happens? Your total cost goes down. If they were sold for 5,000 rupees, so you put 5,000 here. When you take this total value 175,000, crediting 5,000 means 175,000 minus 5,000. Your actual cost is 170,000. 170,000 is divided by 1,800. That is how the calculation. So therefore, there is no like just for I don't know why you want to ask. There is no point of drawing a normal loss account. There's no point of drawing a normal loss account because normal. Yeah. Someone's mics are unmuted. So when you do not talk, yes, please mute them. Huh? So there is no point of having a loss account. If you are asked to do or asked to prepare a normal loss account in the examination, values would be 0 because even the cost is already included is 175,000. You can't take it here. If there is any scrap value, that should be deducted from the cost of the process. Therefore, you can't record here. Technically, then there is no use of drawing a normal loss account. But there is a use of drawing an abnormal loss account. Why? We need to take one minute. This screen gives me problem. So 1 minute. All right. Yeah, in the case of abnormal loss account, that cost is removed. You see, out of this 175,000, 7,000 something has been removed here. Crediting to this account means you deduct it. So that has to be recorded somewhere. That is the meaning. But in the case of normal loss, we have not removed that loss. That cost is already embedded in this 175,000. That is the reason why value is 0. In the case of abnormal loss, it is accounted. If there is any recovery value from this abnormal loss, you can credit there. Assume that you sold it for 1,000 rupees, then you recovered 1,000. Therefore, actual abnormal loss is 6,778. Take this. Consider all the information given in activity 5.2 straightforward. Prepare the process account, normal loss account, and abnormal loss account, assuming that every loss unit has a scrap value. So don't prepare the these accounts, but do the calculation. Just take this into account. That is there. Now, what would be the value of normal loss, abnormal loss? What are you going to do? Do a quick calculation. I'll give you 1 minute. Did you attempt on the question or not? This one. Okay, whatever. Yes. Abnormal gain is 70, right? Must be. Okay, have a look and see. So roughly we can okay, okay, 50, 70. 1500. If the loss is 10%, simply apply 10% of this 130, sorry, 150. 1500 minus 150 means 1350. Therefore, expected number of units 1350. So that is to be taken always to determine the unit cost. But actually, you have produced 1120. Miracle. That's what I just telling you, right? So you have produced more. Therefore, that is treated as the abnormal gain. That is 70. Very good. If how are we going to treat with this? If there is no scrap value, nothing to do with normal loss. That is 150 units. If there is a scrap value 8 into 150 should be deducted. That is the recovery cost. Should be deducted from the total cost. What is the total cost? 1500 into 60. That is 60 into 1500 is 15,000 into 6, 90,000. Conversion cost is 50, therefore 140. Total cost is 140. From 140, you have to deduct 8 into 135. That's a very simple calculation. Then that is the cost. That is divided between here there is no abnormal gain, loss gain. Therefore 70 is transferred. You take something, you load additional cost, you inflate your cost of production again by adding 70 into that particular value. We'll check how much is it. And from that, so abnormal gain 70 also can be sold at the price of 80. That is also added on. So altogether you have a separate value, what you call extra income, called abnormal gain. Okay, so we'll see. So if you can do all these calculations, that is easy. Rest would be like this, just presenting them in the account. Total cost becomes actually 140. You see, so that is the actual amount. These are imputed values. This one and taking abnormal loss, imputed value. So in the previous example, you can go to that previous calculation. You see, even here 175, we divided that minus this by the expected number of units, that is 1800. This 7689 is an imputed amount. It was not deducted from the total cost. It was simply the allocation of the total cost. So therefore the same principle is applied here. Even though that is debited here, and in the ledger account you add it on there, you see. That is why I ask you to be very, very careful about the calculation and the presentation in a ledger account. When you try to understand the mathematics from this ledger account, you might get confused. Therefore, the best advice is to do the mathematics separately and put the numbers here. In the mathematics, actually your incurred cost is 140. That's it. That is why you have taken 140 here divided by expected number of units. But in any case, your normal loss of 135, 150 has a scrap value. The second stage will do that. That 8 into this should be deducted from 140. This, therefore, the value goes down. So these things are simple allocation. So therefore, the unit cost becomes 104. At 104, your total output is 1420. So since this is the actual amount, this is the amount you are going to sell. You sell at a price of maybe 150. You have revenue. Revenue has to be matched with the cost of sales of 1420 units. Got it? But your cost ascertainment here is 104. Logically think has not been arrived even though your පැහැදිලිද මම කියන එක ඔයාගේ income statement එකට ගියාම revenue එක තියෙනවා physically 1420, of course that's correct. That has to be matched with corresponding cost of sales of units, 1420 units. That's perfect. But when you ascertain this unit cost of 104, you did not take into account this much, but you took into account this much lower amount. What does it mean? You have inflated your cost per unit. Had you taken 1420, this would have been less. දැන් ඒක අපි වැඩි කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ නම් ඔයාගේ cost of sales ඔයා inflate කරලා වැඩි කරලා තියෙනවා here unit. But with reasons, huh? Not arbitrarily, with reason. ඉන්නේ වැඩි කරපු ප්‍රමාණය තමයි මෙතනින් අපි එළියට අදින්නේ. That is this logically. ඒ නිසා 17,204 is credited here, 7,200. If there is no scrap value, this should go to P&L as a separate income source, other income. Therefore, this one will go to the next process. I hope it is clear. $104 into 1,200. Yeah, normal loss is 150, gain is 70 units. Yes. So someone has just mentioned, sir, it's not 104 into 1,420. Yeah, that's like how much? 104 into 1 minute. I will check. I need to go to one minute. Share the screen. Okay, what do you say? 104, like 140,000. Total number of units is 1,350. Therefore, what happened? Something went wrong. 104. Actually, it should be exactly not 104, 103. This much. So fractions are there for rounding up purposes. It's been taken like this. So that is the reason why when you multiply 1,420 into 104, it comes to this value. It is 147,680. How much is it there? Yeah, actually, this is not exactly 104. There is a rounding up error. It is proper to say 103 something. 1 minute, then I can't go. One minute, how can I just go back without stopping it? Minimize the presentation. Can't switch. Okay, and so okay. Then I will go to this one. Okay, so if you have taken like in the presentation slides in the ledger accounts, values have been copied from the Excel. In the Excel, calculation has been done by rounding up. Here, if you just remove the decimal, automatically it goes to 104. That is the reason. But your real amount is 103 something. So if you multiply this value by 1,420, that is 147,259. So that should be the amount shown in the ledger account. Just see 259. Do you see it? 147,259. That is the amount, exactly the same amount. Okay, that calculation mistake was corrected. Then there was another question asked by someone. Yeah, if you want, you can use rounded up 104 and allocate accordingly, but you need to be sure of the balancing numbers. Why scrap value have not taken in this account? So first one, so this explanation is without the first question here. This presentation is without scrap value. So how numbers are presented if there is no scrap value. That is why even in the abnormal gain, no scrap value. Full amount has been transferred. 17 to 100, roughly 403 something. So the correct value, you can check it. Because I even did not look at these decimal points. So that could be the reason. I just copied it from the Excel file. Excel file had been set to be rounded up values. Okay, no worries. Now we will take the scenario with the scrap value. Now you see, when the scrap value comes, automatically we need to deduct this amount from the total cost. That is why we credit. You can see even for the workings down, you see, you can see total cost of the production process therefore is not 140,000, 140, that is 90 plus 50 minus this 138,800. This is the actual cost applicable for that particular process. Therefore, it should be divided by any number. We need to decide what is the number, expected number. What is the expected number of production is 1,350. So therefore, unit cost goes down to somewhere maybe 103 something. That new value should be taken to split the total cost between abnormal gain and actual output. So unit, so 103, the 103 has been arrived by taking a denominator of 1,350. But here, when you multiply 103 by inflated value 1,420, that is more, I mean, that increased by 70, you get increased amount. So in a way, you should understand the logic that your cost of production has been inflated in a way. So in a way, cost of production is added on. Real cost of production, how much is the real cost of production with this scenario? Total production cost. Because we assume that there is no work in progress. So just give me an answer. In this particular situation, there is a scrap value. The normal loss is also like this. What is the total cost of production in real terms, in real consumption of resources? Yes, anybody? දැන් මේ process එක දිහා බලපුවාම ඇත්තටම logically අපිට කීයක්ද වියදම් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? Yes, exactly, you're right. 138,800. නේද? ඒකනේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඇත්තටම අපිට වියදම් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ 138,800. එහෙනම් අපි මොන මේ logic එකක් දැම්මත් අපි disregard කරන මේ technical කතන්දර, abnormal gain, loss ඔය ඔක්කොම අමතක කළොත් we got to live with a reality where a total cost of 138,800 has been incurred because you have recovered 1,200 from this. That's the reality. So total value, total cost should have been 138,800, but you are transferring 145,000 something into your finished good. What does it mean? You inflate your cost of production. Why? With the reason, arbitrary, with the reason. What is the reason? because you were able to produce more than what you expected under normal circumstances. So therefore, by adding this into your inventory, you recognize that as an abnormal gain. So that is why I just told you, under real situation, when you deal with real accounting standard, financial reporting and all those things, if this is going to be a significant big amount, this application would be wrong. So would not be practical even. Even stock valuation is wrong. So like I mean, if the industry percentages, accepted norms are 10% and all those things, that would be all right. But it is, now you can understand, highly impossible for you to have a huge abnormal amount unless a miracle happens or technological. So if that is the case, so the cost of production should go down. But for decision making purposes, that would be all right. But for financial reporting purposes, sometimes that may be questioned. Nevertheless, so for in the accounts, in the integrated accounts, this is how it goes. We assume for the time being, this abnormal gain can happen under given situation. Therefore, that 138, instead of 138,000, it is inflated to this much. Difference is taken to abnormal gain account. Abnormal gain මෙච්චර වුණාට what happened? You recover normal. Sorry, how much is it? Yeah, cash. Okay. In the normal loss account, now there is, so if you want, you can prepare this normal loss account. There is a point now, like unlike in the previous case, now the need arises to maintain a record for the normal loss. Why? Entire that the normal the amount that you transfer from the say process, that is at 8 into 150, the 120, sorry, 1200. So if we assume that 1200 debited cash and credited here, so abnormal loss account would go up. But if you just break that into two, like say there, so in real term, this is logical terms. 150 logical loss. එතකොට ඒක අට ගානේ විකුණන්න පුළුවන් කියලා එනවා. Practical terms, how many units are left? Practically, how many units are left? Scrap items. You introduce 1500, your production process gave you 1420. You introduce 1500, your production process gave you 1420. Therefore, what is really physically left in your store in the form of scrap or damage or whatever form? 80. So logical normal loss is 150, really seen real loss is 80. That is how your real loss is inflated into two: assumed normal loss of 150 and assume abnormal gain of 70. Therefore 150 minus 70 becomes 80. Therefore actually and practically, how much can you sell in the um, so 1 minute, so one phone call, 1 minute, huh? Just hold on. Okay, right. The problem is the time now. Anyway, so in 10 minutes, I'll just finish it. Whatever it is possible, the rest can be discussed later on. Now you can understand. So physically available number of units are only 80. So that number, like, so only 80 can be sold in the market. 80 into 8, actual cash 640. So therefore you have an option if you want normal loss account එක තියාගන්නේ නැතිව, right? You can directly debit cash, debit cash 640, credit cash 640 to this account under the normal. But the logical amount to be adjusted in the cost, logical amount to be adjusted in the cost is 1200. So there is a difference of 560. That 560 should be credited and debited to abnormal gain account. So you are going to set it off in the against the abnormal gain. So real abnormal gain is not 7,197, 6,637. So this also can be transferred from the normal loss account as shown in this account. එතකොට ledger account එක විදිහට පෙන්වන විදිහට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කොහොම කළත් examination එකේදී ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. පැහැදිලිද? Either directly transferring from the process account to the abnormal gain account or from normal loss account to abnormal gain account, whatever it is. Now I'll quickly explain this and stop. I don't think that we have time to discuss about this work in progress 5.4. Anyway, now have a look. Normal loss and abnormal loss, abnormal gain within the process, with and without a scrap value. Okay. Evergreen is a manufacturing company because here there are processes. Manufacturing company which produce product alpha. This product passes through two processes, process A and process B. A loss of 5% is allowed in process A and 2% in process B. Nothing being realized by disposal of wastage. So there is no scrap value for the simplicity. During the month of April 2020, 10,000 units of material costing this much, 6 rupees per unit were introduced, 10,000 introduced into the process A. The other costs are process A, process B. Additional material. So process B එකට process A එකෙන් එන මේ මොනවා හෝ අපි දන්නේ තම output එක කීයද කියලා. That output plus additional material are input with this value. We do not know the quantity. Labor this much, this much. Overheads this much, this much. The output of process A 9,300, process B 9,200. So here again we assume that 10,000 unit introduce කරනකොට ඒ එක unit එකක් output එකක 1:1 ratio තියෙනවා කියලා. Normal loss 5%. Normal loss 5%. එහෙනම් 500 is the normal loss. Expected unit is 9,500, but we have produced only 9,300. Then there is an abnormal loss of 200 in process A. That has to be understood. So in process B, this 9,300 is transferred with the total cost. We need to calculate that particular cost. I'll show you the answer. That plus these things are being added. Additional material cost, labor cost, and overheads. It also produces 9,200 finally. So total units is 9,300, of which 2% is expected as a normal loss. 2% is 93 into 2. So that is 186. 9,300 minus 186, it is 9,100 something. But to surprisingly, process B produced 9,200 units, resulting in an abnormal gain. So this kind of two conflicting situation, abnormal gain and abnormal loss without scrap value. So this is the understanding. When you read the question, you have to first understand this reality. numbers, the real value has to be taken from here. 10 into 6 is 60,000 or whatever. So during material cost of 60, and the other costs should also be added on. We'll see. Therefore, 10 into 6, 60,000. That's correct. Labor cost is 10,000. That is there. Overhead cost is 6,000. Total is 76,000. That's the cost. If there is no scrap value, take this 76,000 divided by 9,500. I don't know whether there is any decimal value. Roughly, it is rounded up amount is 8 rupees. The cost at 8, you split full amount of 76,000 into 2. ඇත්තටම අපිට තියෙන්නේ 9,300. So therefore මේක මීටියා විකුණන්න බෑ. Cost of sales account එකේ match කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මෙච්චරයි. Therefore at this into 8 is this much. This into 8 goes to abnormal loss account. Since there is no scrap value, full amount goes there. I hope it's very clear now. So because we have just taken simple example, we have excluded the scrap value in order to understand how processes are linked from one another. Then this is process B. Just see, this amount 74,400 should be the amount to be recorded here. You can see this should either go to finished good or process 2. So process 2. Process 2, in other words, this is the main input coming from process 1. 9,300 units have come, maybe partly finished garments, but additional materials are also introduced. Maybe some other things we do not know. Like these additional materials could be indirect materials absorbed to these 9,300. So in 9,300, if you apply the ratio of 2% for normal loss, it is 186. Since there is no value, nothing is. So when you deduct it, 9,286, it comes to, where is it? 9,114. But actually you have 9,200. So therefore, your total cost, that is this plus this plus this plus this plus 91,140 should be divided by how much? Not by this much. Actual should be expected. I think there is a mistake in this calculation. Can someone? Total is this total correct? 91,140. Anyway, I hope, because I could not check it. 91,140, and the expected units 9,300 into 98%. Yes, that is expected, correct, not the actual. Expected units. I just wondered whether this is actual. So this is the expected units. Expected unit is 9,114. This is divided by the exactly 10. Exactly 10. It's correct. Calculation is correct. I was just worried thinking that this is the actual. Actual is 9,200. So always follow the rule that the expected units. Then you split. Actually, you can sell this number 9,200. 9,200. Then the cost or for the next process 9,200 into 10, 92,000. Then there is an excess value, that is 86. Difference between 9,200 and 9,114. 86 into 10, 860. So this is how this total balances. So that's all with respect to this normal losses and abnormal losses. What we could not do about the working processes. So hopefully I will take up the same group next week together with the process, CVP analysis, break-even analysis. Maybe in half an hour time, I will explain you the calculations. Directly, I will go to the concept of equivalent units and these two activities. So your tasks are to work out activity 5.6. Everyone should have an answer to these things. And 5.6 and 5.7. Yeah, that's all. 5.6 and 5. Oh, let's just check with the. Yeah, there's another one. 5.8. Oh, sorry, 5.9 even. So, yeah, 4 questions are there. If you work them out, I would be able to finish it maybe 40 minutes or maybe in 1 hour time. Within 2 hours time, I can finish break-even analysis now. So nothing to worry. So please do this calculation. If you do the calculations and come with your answers, it is easy for me to show the numbers directly. I can go to the answer and explain. එහෙම හොඳයි නේද? Right. හැබැයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගානක් හදන් ආවේ නැත්නම් මේ ඒ කියන්නේ මම එක්ස්ප්ලেইন මම අර විදිහට එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරගෙන යයි. ඔයගලන්ට තේරුම් ගන්න බැරුව යනවා. අපරාධනේ නේද? මොකද මේ පාඩම් වල ගොඩක් වැදගත් වෙන්නේ මේ අර මේක පිළිපස්සේ තියෙන ෆිලොසොෆි එක තේරුම් ගන්න එක, රෂනල් එක, ලොජික් එක. ඒකයි මම මේ නිතරම අවධානය කරන්නේ. අර නැත්නම් නම්බර්ස් දෙකක් වැඩි කරලා එන උත්තරේ කටපාඩම් කරගන්න එක බලා ගන්න එක මාළුකු වැඩක් නෙමෙයි. මේ ලොජික් එක තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ වැඩ කරලා ආවොත් විතරයි. ඒතර නම්බර්ස් අපි උදව් කරගන්නේ ඒ කතන්දරේ තේරුම් ගන්න. ඒ නිසා අපි අදට මේ අපි නවත්තමු. මම හිතන්නේ පැහැදිලි මේක සාරාංශයක් වශයෙන් කිව්වොත් ඇත්තටම මේ process accounting කියන්නේ හරි ලේසි ඉගෙන ගන්න. මේක ඉගෙන ගන්න තියෙන එකම දේ තමයි අර logically එන cost එක units අතරට බෙදා හරින logic එක මේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ බෙදා හැරීමේදී අපි ගන්න logic එක තමයි normal units. Right. If you have any question you can ask. මොනවාරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? Right. If there is no question, so I will wind up the lecture for today. So next week, hopefully, we will discuss the balance part of process and CVP analysis. So thank you very much.